But the biggest thing, the biggest thing, and I've learned this from college with Coach Staley, is mind over matter. If it don't mind, it don't matter. So some of these things, I'm like, I don't have time to be tired.
When I watched him at the state tournament when he played with Doug McDermott, so I was a huge Harrison Barnes fan, and like now actually, Harrison Barnes is a fan of me.
You might be thinking it's just a basketball, right? Wrong. Caitlin Clark's new line isn't just changing the game, it's changing the entire landscape of women's sports. And Aja Wilson, she's both thrilled and shocked. Here's why this matters way more than you might think. Consider it, you're not just donning a logo when you're rocking that limitless gear. You bear a fragment of Clark's narrative, her aspirations, and her struggles. Fans are going crazy over this stuff because of this. It's a relationship with Caitlin herself, not just merchandise. The truth is that Clark's influence extends far beyond his ability to sell t-shirts and shoes. In ways we haven't seen in a long time, she is altering the game. Do you need evidence? Now let's discuss numbers. Have you recently observed the attendance at Indiana Fever games? Here we are talking about attendance that breaks records. Over 20,366 people attended a single game. That makes a statement rather than just being a good turnout.
The teammate's the best I can, but at the same time, I want to be able to score the ball. So the more I can do that, the better it's going to be for our team overall.
Who's basketball or football or?
There's like plays you have to know. It's different because you're like 100%. Individual on team sport.
Yeah.
Not only are people purchasing Clark's merchandise, but they are also flocking to her performances. Furthermore, it's not only about packing seats. Additionally, the TV ratings are extremely high. The average number of views for games with Clark is 1.184 million. In contrast, an average WNBA game receives about 428,000 views. Clark's breaking the damn meter, not just moving the needle. The question, okay, but is this just a flash in the pan, may be on your mind right now. In Aja Wilson's opinion, no. She is actually equating Clark's influence with that of Steph Curry. Yes, you did indeed hear that. Steph Curry is ridiculous. Wilson claimed that Clark is altering the perception of women's basketball as a whole. She's redefining the game, not just playing it. These days, people talk about more than just drama and controversy. They are discussing the level of skill displayed in the game and its quality. Women's basketball is receiving attention from the public thanks to Clark in a way that hasn't been seen in a long time. This is where things get really interesting though. Wilson isn't just sunshine and roses, she's being honest. Yes, this is exciting, but it also puts more pressure on the other players in the league. She is saying every other player has to step up their game when a rookie enters the game and shakes things up this much. In Wilson's words, I think she's being a rookie in this league. She's just going out there and being her. Wilson seems to be saying, see, Clark isn't attempting to be someone else. What's really important is that she is just being herself. But for a moment, let's be honest, it's not always easy to handle this level of immediate success and hype. Everyone is watching Clark because he's establishing a new benchmark. All activities, including plays, games, and interviews, are now closely scrutinized. Wilson is genuinely happy to see Clark succeeding. Rookie enters the game and shakes things up in a way that draws more observers. All of the WNBA players have been hoping for that. Wilson is being honest about the distinctions between Clark's experience and style. The thing is, you do know that Wilson owns a basketball as part of Nike's collection? However, she can't help but notice the difference when she contrasts it with Clark's limitless line. Here, we're discussing a significant disparity in marketing power. Wilson's sphere, it's included in a larger lineup. However, Clark's assortment, it's a completely different situation. It takes more than just putting a product's name on a Clark's gear item. It is intimate. Do you recall the handwritten notes from her high school days that we previously discussed? It's the kind of gesture that connects with fans. Every purchase seems to be a small part of Clark's journey. After realizing this, Wilson says, yeah, that's not what I got. This is where things get really interesting though. Wilson doesn't hold it against them. In actuality, she's using this to highlight some more significant problems with women's basketball marketing. See, it's not just about individual players, she says. It has to do with how we're portraying the entire sport. Wilson is shedding light on an issue that has existed for some time. Not every player in women's basketball receives the same opportunities because the sport hasn't always received the same level of marketing support as men's. Wilson is saying something along the lines of, we're all in this together, but we're not getting the same boost. Now, don't misunderstand me. Wilson is fully in favor of Clark. She is here to support Clark because she sees the impact he is making. She is, however, also experiencing some frustration. Why? Wilson feels that her own accomplishments are being overshadowed by Clark's attentions. I felt like I was mentally tired in that whole whirlwind of people constantly saying, Aja, you're only known because of Caitlin, Wilson said bluntly. Can you picture the feeling of that? After years of hard work and being at the top of your game, all of a sudden it feels like a rookie is taking the lead. Wilson, though, is not merely speaking for herself here. She's bringing up an issue that many athletes face, particularly black women who play sports. She continued, "It really is because you can be top-notch at what you are as a black woman, but yet maybe that's something that people don't want to see. That is a strong assertion." Wilson is criticizing the racial dynamics in sports marketing and stating that more needs to be done to ensure that all people have an equal opportunity to be in the spotlight. The conflict in women's basketball between individual achievement and group advancement is demonstrated by the entire situation. On the one hand, Clark is coming on strong, drawing interest in the game and new fans. That benefits everyone greatly. On the other hand, some well-known celebrities like Wilson feel as though they are being marginalized. It's comparable to Wilson stating, "Yeah, we want the sport to grow, but we can't forget about the players who've been holding it down all along." She is making the point that although it's fantastic to recognize and appreciate fresh talent, we also can't allow it to overshadow the efforts and accomplishments of other players. Wilson is providing a reality check with this. She is demonstrating to us that women's basketball's ascent is more complex than a straightforward triumph. It's not simple. It has to do with recognition, marketing, race, and how we value the contributions made by various players to the game. Wilson's viewpoint is important in this situation because she is not merely speaking for herself. She is standing up for numerous players who may be experiencing similar emotions but lack the voice to express them. Saying this aloud, she is saying, "Hey, let's celebrate Clark, but let's not forget about everyone else who's been pushing this sport forward." Aja Wilson was right when she said, "I think it got a little too gossipy in the beginning, but then it started to fizzle out because people started to realize we're really good at what we do." Yes, that's correct. The discourse is changing. Who said what or who is at odds with whom is no longer relevant. These days, everything revolves around the extraordinary talent these athletes possess. But this is where the interesting part starts. Even though Clark is creating waves and influencing people's opinions, the pay gap remains a major issue. Surely with all this hype, the money's rolling in, right? Is probably what's on your mind. Not quite though. Let's dissect it. It is anticipated that Clark will make $76,535 in her debut season. It sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Now contrast that with the top NBA draft pick Victor Wembanyama. In his first year, he's making $12.1 million in revenue. That is a chasm the size of the Grand Canyon, not just a gap. There is more to this salary disparity than just Clark and Wembanyama. It's a sign of a much more serious problem in the world of professional basketball. Even with the arrival of superstars like Clark, the WNBA has been engaged in this battle for years, and there is still much work to be done. Aja Wilson isn't going to hold back on this. With a voice that demands change, she says now, "It's just up to us to continue to have a voice." She's right. Celebrating victories alone is insufficient. It is imperative that we continue to discuss the challenges. Now hold on, before you begin to believe that everything is bad. In fact, there are some very interesting things taking place in the WNBA at the moment. Positive developments are taking place, which is leveling the playing field. First, flights on charter. What's the big deal about how they travel? Maybe on your mind, but this is huge, I assure you. WNBA players endured lengthy layovers, lengthy flights, and all the associated difficulties for years. They can now concentrate on what really matters, playing their best game, thanks to chartered flights. Furthermore, it goes beyond travel. There's also more media attention now. More stories are being told, more games are being televised, and more people than ever are interested in women's basketball. You know to whom we owe a great deal of this? Celebrities like Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. These young athletes are captivating in addition to being gifted. They're attracting spectators, igniting discussions, and raising awareness of women's basketball in a way that has never been seen before. Aja Wilson is also perceiving the shift. She is discussing the current good energy in the league. Not only are they observing, but they are also becoming enthused. They're genuinely enjoying the caliber of the game and remarking things like, "That's good hoops." The shocking thing is that the players and fans aren't the only ones who benefit from all this excitement. It benefits the entire league. More viewers translate into more revenue, and more revenue translates into better chances for all parties. Let's take a brief look at the figures. The average number of views for Caitlin Clark's games is 1.184 million. That is almost 3 times the 428,000 views that other WNBA games typically receive. What potential financial impact might that have on the league, do you think? Regarding money, here's something to consider. The current media rights deal for the WNBA brings in roughly $60 million annually. Seems like a lot, does it not? Now contrast that with the $2.7 billion deal made by the NBA. Yes, billion in B speaking. You may be thinking at this point, obviously the NBA makes more money. It has a longer history. Moreover, you are correct. However, here's the thing. The WNBA has a genuine chance to close that gap with players like Clark attracting more fans and viewers. Consider Consider it. Media rights are worth more when there are more viewers. The league will profit financially from more valuable media rights. And additional funds for the league? This could entail increased marketing, improved facilities, higher player salaries, and the whole 9 yards. But for a moment, let's be honest, this is not going to occur quickly. It will require a great deal of support from fans like you and me, as well as time and effort. It is imperative that we continue to observe, discuss, and support these amazing athletes.